Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Ava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Astottara Sata Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Astottara Sata Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki. Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki. Ganga Mai ki. Yamuna Mai ki. Bhakti Devi ki. Tulsi Maharani ki. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So today we will continue the reading of Srila Prabhupada's Leela as described by His Grace Hari Sari Prabhu in his very wonderful book, The Transcendental Diary, Volume 3, Chapter 5, entitled Paris and New Mayapur, and we will continue reading from August 4th, 1976. We'll read a little bit of this, and I thought also to read some excerpts from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela, Chapter 11, entitled The Passing of Srila Haridas Thakur, since today also corresponds to the anniversary of the passing away of Srila Haridas Thakur in Jagannath Puri. But we'll read a little bit first about Srila Prabhupada from the Transcendental Diary. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. August 4th, 1976. Someone brought Srila Prabhupada a copy of the original leaflet he had printed in India when he set off on the Jaladuta to come to the West in 1965. So Srila Prabhupada was carrying with him many copies of his 3-volume first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and together with that, as an advertising medium, he also had printed in India a leaflet describing the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada was curious to see it, asking me to read it out to him. His picture was on the front with the title reading, quote, Srimad Bhagavatam, India's Message of Peace and Goodwill. 60 volumes of elaborate English version by Tridandi Goswami, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, carried by the Scindia Steam Navigation Company Limited, Bombay, all over the world for scientific knowledge of God, unquote. That's quite a title. While Prabhupada relaxed behind his desk, I read out the body of the text. Quote, it says, further quote, the sufferings of the entire human society can at once be brought under control simply by individual practice of bhakti yoga, a simple and easy process of chanting the holy name of God. Every country, every nation, and every community throughout the world has some conception of the holy name of God. But as such, either the Hindus or the Mohammedans or the Christians, everyone can easily chant the holy name of God in a meditative mood, and that will bring about the required peace and goodwill in the present problematic human society. Any inquiry in this connection will be gladly answered by Sri Swamiji. The Hindus generally chant the holy name of God in 16 chain of transcendental sound composed of 32 alphabets as Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Vedic literatures like the Upanishads and the Puranas recommend chanting of the above-mentioned 16 holy names at a stretch, and Lord Chaitanya, whose cult of chanting the holy name of God gave special importance on these transcendental sounds. In this age of Kali, or the age of hate, hypocrisy, corruption, and quarrel, the only remedial measure is that every man should chant the holy name of the Lord, both individually and collectively. Unquote. Then it went on, meaning the pamphlet, then it went on to give the English translations of the 8 prayers written by Lord Chaitanya in glorification of the holy name. It ended with some highly complimentary reviews of Prabhupada's translation of the Srimad Bhagavatam. After hearing this, Prabhupada retired to his bedroom. He lay in the tranquility of the darkened room as I stood by his side, massaging his legs and feet. It was the end of another day for us, a short intermission for him. He relaxed, his eyes closed now and then, reflecting out loud on events both past and present. I was intrigued by the pamphlet and the hidden mysteries of Srila Prabhupada's life before he came to the West. From my scant knowledge of his pre-ISKCON era, I asked him, or rather suggested, quote, but you were preaching before that in India, though, unquote. Prabhupada said, not very much. Oh yes, that back to Godhead. Sorry. In Vrindavan you were just translating? Yes. The library party, this is Sorry speaking now. The library party said that everywhere in Delhi they went, they found that you had already placed your 3 volumes of the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada. Yes, in American also. The Congress Library purchased 19 sets. I wasn't that familiar with things American. Sorry speaks. Oh, Congress? The one in Washington? The Library of Congress? Prabhupada confirmed. There is a branch in India. I reminded him that they also had a copy of his first Back to Godhead. Prabhupada hummed softly. Then he said, American government is good organization. That was 50 years ago. I wonder what Prabhupada would say now. He felt silent for a while, occasionally still coughing, but at least not dislodging the heavy mucus of just a few days ago. After 5 minutes of contemplative silence, he said, "From 1954 to 66, I struggled very hard alone." Actually, I just want to comment on this point that Prabhupada made about American government is good organization. So yes, in 1975 that would be true. And a error on our part would be to take what Srila Prabhupada said in 1976 and because it's Prabhupada saying, yes, American government is good organization, we will dogmatically or stubbornly stick by this relative statement that Prabhupada made about the American government. He's speaking about a material situation in the material world of a certain transient, non-permanent situation. But as devotees, followers of Prabhupada, we must not be obstinate, dogmatic, and just say, Prabhupada said American government is good organization. So for all time, throughout history, it's going to be that way. Because we know, very objectively, right now, that this is not the case. So if I say, in a one class, American government is not good organization, a dogmatic follower of Prabhupada said, see, he's speaking against what Prabhupada has said. You understand my point? So we must be mature in our understanding and reading of what Prabhupada said. When Prabhupada is speaking about something that's clearly transient, changing, he's not speaking on the level of an absolute truth. You understand? That's in place for all time, place, and circumstance. When Prabhupada is speaking about the glories of the holy name, the process of devotional service, when he's speaking about tattva coming from scripture, that's unchangeable. That's always in place for all time to come. From 1954 to 1966, I struggled very hard alone. Harisari. 12 years. Yes, Prabhupada said, 12 years means one yuga. I was puzzled. One yuga, Prabhupada repeated. And big yuga, another. Harisari. Oh, the term is used differently. It can be used in different ways. We always think of one yuga as being like Kali Yuga. Prabhupada. Yes, that is big yuga. This is small yuga. Meaning the 12 years. Because 12 years struggling alone is a long time, right? It can seem like a yuga. Like in the Shikshastika prayers, what do we say every morning? One yugayitam nimishena. One moment seems like 12 years or more. Yugayitam nimishena. So they're using that word yuga in that mood of 12 years. It is very fortunate for us that you were so determined, I told him. But he didn't reply. He let 10 minutes lapse and then mused about the temple. He said, they have got so many cars. Actually, I think most of our centers have got many, many vans and cars, I said. That means they are rich, Prabhupada smiled. I chuckled. Just like in India, they used to measure wealth by how many cows. In the West, they measure wealth by how many cows. And we have both, cows and cars, both, Prabhupada said. Then after a short pause, he asked, so the devotees like this evening's class? Oh yes, it is a very enlivening program. In the evening, it is very nice out of doors. It is warm from the day. No one falls asleep except for the children. And that's very good because then they are quiet. So this is in France, in Paris. Prabhupada is visiting there and they're having evening programs outside. Prabhupada had also observed them. Quote, small children, they also clap and dance on the lap of the mother. They were smiling. Very fortunate children. Otherwise, from the birth, associating with devotees, unquote. So this is how Prabhupada determines good fortune for a child. Being trained up to appreciate kirtan, clapping and dancing, and having the association of devotees. This is what real fortune means, to have association with devotees. Ramananda Rai, in his answer to Lord Chaitanya, what is the greatest pain, what is the greatest misfortune, in other words? And how did Ramananda Rai answer that? Is to be bereft of the association of devotees. So those with children, the greatest gift you can give them is to offer them, parents who have children, the greatest gift you can give them is to offer them an appreciation of the holy name, chanting and dancing, and to always constantly give them association of devotees. Like Srila Prabhupada, right? How was Srila Prabhupada's childhood? Constantly, Prabhupada was saying, constantly, every day, not less than 3 or 4 sadhus would be invited by my father for serving prasad. Constantly, every day. So this we also saw, at least when I first joined in Krishna consciousness, the temple devotees at this temple were constantly lovingly harassed. I would say lovingly harassed, almost every day, to visit somewhere, some devotee's home, and take prasad. It became a norm. Some of you may remember Srila Prabhupada's centennial, 1996, when Prabhupada's 100th anniversary of his birth was being celebrated. So many goals. Temples were putting up, devotees individually putting up, the yatras were putting up, so many thousands of books, so many festivals, so many this. And I used to be Jai Sachinandan Prabhu's assistant and driver. And we came up with an interesting goal in 1996. Well, yeah, in 1995, but to finish it by 1996, Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja in September that year. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki. So our goal was that in those 8 months, or 9 months, we had to honor 108 feasts. We had to, and because of all the invitations coming, it wasn't a problem. We finished it well in time. 108 feasts. That's like practically one a day. It was at that time. Anyway, the point I'm making is devotees should be very eager to host each other in their homes. Not for their own purification, but to instill in their little children a very powerful samskara, a very powerful impression of serving Vaishnavas, associating with Vaishnavas. It's very, very important. Prabhupada let another 5 or 10 minutes drift by, his body inert, his mind and spirit forever active. Then he made another reflection, this time on society in general. Quote, nowadays, cheating is a good qualification, unquote. Yes, I agreed, it is their only qualification. Prabhupada, if you cheat somebody and get some money, you are very expert, unquote. Isn't it? Like we see even in the training of Hiranyakashipu's school, the Gurukul, so to speak. They were training them to be expert in diplomacy, politics, and the art of cheating. This is what is determined to be good education. Good education. Even in today's society, if you really deeply, from an ethics point of view, analyze what education is all about, it's training you to become good at diplomacy, become expert at how to influence others. There used to be books from many years ago, Carnegie, how to win friends, how to win friends and influence others, something like that. So it's all about how to get the better of somebody else for your gain, for your purposes. Top-class businessman, first-class scientist, I returned. And the best politician, just like in America, once they found Nixon was cheating, now they're investigating one man after another. And everyone, they are finding all the same. America, cheating is a policy, he said. How a real estate man, lawyer, they are simply planning how to cheat. The lawyers are the worst, I said, because they know the law. So they know how to cheat in such a way that they can stay within the law. Another 10 minutes quietude passed, and then he gave his final soft releasing me for the night. I offered my obeisances and retired to my room next door. Okay, I'll stop here. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll recount this very wonderful, instructive, and inspiring account of the passing of Srila Haridas Thakur. We announced this morning that it's the passing, so okay. Okay, so this is chapter 11 from the Antya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the passing of Haridas Thakur. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. The summary of this chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhasya as follows. In this chapter, it is described how Brahma Haridas Thakur gave up his body with the consent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and how the Lord himself personally performed the funeral ceremony and carried the body to the sea. So you may notice that Prabhupada or Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is describing him as Brahma Haridas Thakur. So we understand that in this case, Srila Haridas Thakur is the incarnation of Lord Brahma in Chaitanya Leela. Lord Chaitanya personally entombed the body, covered it with sand, and erected a platform on the site. After taking a bath in the sea, he personally begged prasadam of Jagannath from shopkeepers and distributed prasadam to the assembled devotees. Text 1. Namami Haridasam tam Chaitanyam tam cha tat prabhum Samstitam apiyan murtim shvanke kritva nanartaya. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Haridas and his master, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who danced with the body of Haridas on his lap. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya 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 Sri Chaitanya Jaya Daya Maya Jaya Dvaita Priya Nityananda Priya Jaya. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is very merciful and who is very dear to Advaita Acharya and Lord Nityananda. Jaya Srinivaseshwara Haridasanatha Jaya Gadadhara Priya Swarupa Prananatha. All glories to the Master of Srinivas Thakur. All glories to the Master of Haridas Thakur. All glories to the dear Master of Gadadhar Pandit. All glories to the Master of the life of Swarup Damodar. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya, who is very dear to Kashi Mishra. He is the Lord of the life of Jagadananda and the Lord of Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami. I am writing this narration of the pastimes and attributes of the Lord by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. I do not know how to write properly, but I am purifying myself by writing this description. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus resided at Jagannath Puri with his personal associates and enjoyed the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In the daytime, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged in dancing and chanting and in seeing the temple of Lord Jagannath. At night, in the company of his most confidential devotees, such as Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar Goswami, he tasted the nectar of the transcendental mellows of Lord Krishna's pastimes. One day, Govinda, the personal servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, went in great jubilation to deliver the remnants of Lord Jagannath's food to Haridas Thakur. So Haridas Thakur, being born in a Mohammedan family, chose not to try and enter the temple of Jagannath and see the deity, because he didn't want to create any difficulties for anyone. And the custom was at that time that only Hindus, well, not even at that time, even at this time, only Hindus were allowed to enter the Jagannath temple. Not only Hindus, only Bharatiya Hindus even. I tried 1 year, they didn't let me into the temple. But that's all right, I guess. So Haridas wasn't going. But instead of Haridas going into the temple and seeing the Supreme Lord, every day what would happen? The Supreme Personality of Godhead would come to see him in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And also every day, Govinda, who was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal servant, would bring Mahaprasad from Lord Jagannath to Haridas Thakur. When Govinda came to Haridas, he saw that Haridas Thakur was lying on his back and chanting his rounds very slowly. "Please rise and take your Mahaprasadam," Govinda said. Haridas replied, "I have not finished chanting my regular number of rounds. How then can I eat? But you have brought Mahaprasadam, how can I neglect it?" That is quite a standard, isn't it? We'd probably be very hungry at breakfast at breakfast time if we're not taking breakfast because we didn't finish our rounds. But I know many devotees who actually have that, standard in Prabhupada's movement. And I guess it's inspired by Srila Haridas Thakur. But at the same time he's saying, but this is the part where we focus on. But you have brought Mahaprasadam, so how can I neglect it? Saying this, Haridas Thakur offered praise to the Mahaprasadam, but listen carefully, took a little portion and ate it. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Haridas's place and inquired from him, "Haridas, are you well?" Haridas offered his obeisances to the Lord and replied, "My body is all right, but my mind and intelligence are not well." This is a very instructive section for us as practicing devotees. Haridas offered his obeisances to the Lord and replied, "My body is all right, but my mind and intelligence are not well." At this point, Haridas was very ill, very aged, and definitely quite ill. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further inquired from Haridas, "Can you ascertain what your disease is?" Somebody asks you, "How are you feeling, Prabhu?" You say, "I'm sick." "Okay, what's wrong with you?" "I got a cough, I got a cold, I got a this, I got arthritis, I got whatever." We generally give the factual answer on a physical level. "Can you ascertain what your disease is? Now that you have become old," the Lord said, something interesting here. Oh, something is wrong here. Let me just read this from another section. Sorry. Okay. This is better. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further inquired from Haridas, "Can you ascertain what your disease is. Haridas Thakur replied, my disease is that I cannot complete my rounds. Now Haridas Thakur, any idea how many rounds he was chanting every day? Yes. Huh? 150, a little more than that. He was chanting 3 lakh names every day, which some people say is 192 rounds a day. But a more technical calculation of it would be like 58 or so times 3. So 174 rounds or so he was chanting minimum. And what's his diagnosis of his disease? Someone who's chanting 192 rounds, his diagnosis is, I cannot complete my rounds. That's quite something, huh? Quite something. So Srila Prabhupada says that in the purport, if one cannot complete the fixed number of rounds he is assigned, he should be considered to be in a diseased condition of life. Srila Haridas Thakur is called a Namacharya. Of course, we cannot imitate Haridas Thakur, but everyone must chant a prescribed number of rounds. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we have fixed 16 rounds as the minimum, so that Westerners will not feel burdened. Those 16 rounds must be chanted, and chanted loudly so that he can hear himself and others. Text 24. Now that you have become old, the Lord said, you may reduce the number of rounds you chant daily. You are already liberated, and therefore you need not follow the regulative principles strictly. This regulative principles that Lord Chaitanya is talking about is the regulative principle of chanting, not how we consider regulative principles. Isn't it? So don't get confused about that. The regulative principles are the 16 rounds. Your role in this incarnation, the Lord is telling Haridas Thakur, because he's the incarnation of who? Lord Brahma. So the Lord is telling Haridas Thakur, your role in this incarnation is to deliver the people in general. You have sufficiently preached the glories of the holy name in this world. Purport. Haridas Thakur is known as Namacharya because it is he who preached the glories of chanting Harinam, the holy name of God. By using the words Tomara Avatar, your incarnation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirms that Haridas Thakur is the incarnation of Lord Brahma. The Lord concluded, now, therefore, please reduce the fixed number of times you chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Haridas Thakur replied, kindly hear my real plea. I was born in an inferior family, and my body is most abominable. I always engage in low work. Therefore, I am the lowest, most condemned of men. I am unseeable and untouchable, but you have accepted me as your servant. This means that you have delivered me from a hellish condition and raised me to the Vaikuntha platform. My dear Lord, you are the fully independent personality of Godhead. You act by your own free will. You cause the whole world to dance and act as you like. My dear Lord, by your mercy you have made me dance in many ways. For example, I was offered the Shraddha Patra, which should have been offered to the first-class Brahmanas. I ate from it, even though I was born in a family of meat-eaters. So this refers to a pastime that happened in the home of Advaitacharya, that when a certain Shraddha ceremony was going on, then the honorable plate of prasad is always offered to the most exalted personality in the audience, in the program that's happening, the senior most, the most advanced person. So Advaitacharya recognized Haridas Thakur's position. Of course, Advaitacharya is the Supreme Lord himself, so he knows who's who. And even though there were other brahmanas, very high-class brahmanas, exalted people, even though they were there, Advaitacharya chose Haridas to be honored by this plate. Even though, from a material perspective, Haridas, by his own testimony, was born in a low family, but still he was given that honor. I have had one desire for a very long time, Haridas continued. I think that quite soon, my Lord, you will bring to close your pastimes within this material world. I wish that you not show me this closing chapter of your pastimes. Before that time comes, kindly let my body fall down in your presence. In other words, he wants to leave his body before Lord Chaitanya winds up his pastimes. I wish to catch your lotus-like feet upon my heart and see your moon-like face. With my tongue I shall chant your holy name, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. That is my desire. Kindly let me give up my body in this way. O most merciful Lord, if by your mercy it is possible, kindly grant my desire. Let this low-born body fall down before you. You can make possible this perfection of all my desires. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, My dear Haridas, Krishna is so merciful that he must execute whatever you want. But whatever happens, whatever happiness is mine is all due to your association. It is not fitting for you to go away and leave me behind. Catching the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur said, My Lord, do not create an illusion. Although I am so fallen, you must certainly show me this mercy. My Lord, there are many respectable personalities, millions of devotees who are fit to sit on my head. They are all helpful in your pastimes. My Lord, if an insignificant insect like me dies, what is the loss? If an ant dies, where is the loss to the material world? My Lord, you are always affectionate to your devotees. I am just an imitation devotee, but nevertheless I wish that you fulfill my desire. That is my expectation. Because he had to perform his noon duties, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got up to leave. But it was settled that the following day, after he saw Lord Jagannath, he would return to visit Haridas Thakur. After embracing him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left to perform his noon duties and went to the sea to take his bath. The next morning, after visiting the Jagannath temple, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accompanied by all his devotees, went hastily to see Haridas Thakur. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the devotees came before Haridas, who offered his respects to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Vaishnavas. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired, My dear Haridas, what is the news? We always say like that in our way, right? What's new? What's new? In other words, what is the news? Haridas Thakur replied, My Lord, whatever mercy you can bestow upon me. Upon hearing this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately began great congregational chanting in the courtyard. Vakreshwar Pandit was the chief dancer. Headed by Swarup Damodar Goswami, all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, surrounded by Haridas, all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu surrounded Haridas Thakur and began congregational chanting. In front of all the great devotees, like Ramananda Rai and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to describe the holy attributes of Haridas Thakur. As he described the transcendental attributes of Haridas Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seemed to possess 5 mouths. The more he described, the more his great happiness increased. After hearing of the transcendental qualities of Haridas Thakur, All the devotees present were struck with wonder. They all offered their respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur. Haridas made Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sit down in front of him, and then he fixed his eyes like two bumblebees on the lotus feet of the Lord, on the lotus face of the Lord. He held the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on his heart, and then took the dust of the feet of all the devotees present and put it on his head. He began to chant the holy name of Sri Krishna Chaitanya again and again. As he drank the sweetness of that face of the Lord, tears constantly glided down from his eyes. While chanting the holy name of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, he gave up his air of life and left his body. Seeing the wonderful death of Haridas Thakur by his own will, which was just like a great mystic yogi's, everyone remembered the passing away of Bhishma. There was a tumultuous noise as they all chanted the holy names Hari and Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became overwhelmed with ecstatic love. The Lord raised the body of Haridas Thakur and placed it on his lap. Then he began to dance in the courtyard in great ecstatic love. Because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love, all the devotees were helpless. And in ecstatic love, they also began to dance and chant congregationally. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced for some time, and then Swarup Damodar Goswami informed him of other rituals for the body of Thakur Haridas. The body of Haridas was then raised onto a carrier that resembled an airship and taken to the sea, accompanied by congregational chanting. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced in front of the procession, and Vakreshwar Pandit, along with the other devotees, chanted and danced behind him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed the body of Haridas Thakur in the sea and then declared, "From this day on, this sea has become a great pilgrimage site." It's interesting. Jagannath Puri, that ocean, is of course a holy place, because Lord Chaitanya would bathe in the ocean every day. But Lord Chaitanya is declaring that now it's become a pilgrimage site because of the bathing of Haridas's body. Everyone drank the water that had touched the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur, and then they smeared remnants of Lord Jagannath's sandalwood pulp all over Haridas Thakur's body. After a hole was dug in the sand, the body of Haridas Thakur was placed into it. Remnants from Lord Jagannath, such as his silken ropes, sandalwood pulp, food and cloth, were placed on the body. Similar to what we do with devotees as well. We try to get many Mahaprasad items, remnants of the Lord, garlands, cloth, tulsi, and we cremate the body with all these auspicious items. So these auspicious items are also being placed in the Samadhi tomb of Haridas Thakur. All around the body, devotees performed congregational chanting, and Vakreshwar Pandit danced in jubilation. This can sometimes seem a bit odd, even disconcerting to to people who are not devotees. When they see at funerals being presided over by devotees, how we chant and dance, sometimes we are jumping in the air. It kind of looks weird. I remember one devotee, his wife passed away. Wonderful devotee. Both of them, wonderful devotee. His wife passed away. And at the crematorium, he was dancing. And I looked at some of the family members like, they were not happy about this. They were really not happy. But he was so jubilant because he knows the destination of his wife. With his transcendental hands, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally covered the body of Haridas Thakur with sand, chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol. The devotees covered the body of Haridas Thakur with sand and then constructed a platform upon the site. The platform was protected all around by fencing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced and chanted all around the platform, and as the holy name of Hari roared tumultuously, the whole universe became filled with the vibration. After Sankirtan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed in the sea with his devotees, swimming and playing in the water in great jubilation. After circumambulating the tomb of Haridas Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the Singhadwara gate of the Jagannath temple. The whole city chanted in congregation, and the tumultuous sound vibrated all over the city. Approaching the Singhadwara gate, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread his cloth and began to beg prasadam from all the shopkeepers. So they have an upper piece of cloth, so they open it up and they collect foodstuffs, donations. I am begging prasadam for a festival honoring the passing of Haridas Thakur, the Lord said. Please give me alms. Hearing this, all the shopkeepers immediately came forward with big baskets of prasadam, which they jubilantly delivered to Lord Chaitanya. However, Swarup Damodar stopped them, and the shopkeepers returned to their shops and sat down with their baskets. Swarup Damodar sent Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu back to his residence and kept with him 4 Vaishnavas and 4 servant carriers. Swarup Damodar said to all the shopkeepers, "Deliver to me 4 palmfuls of prasadam from each and every item." In this way, varieties of prasadam were collected and then packed up in different loads and carried on the heads of the 4 servants. Not only did Swarup Damodar Goswami bring prasadam, but Vaninath Pattanayaka and Kashi Mishra also sent large quantities. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made all the devotees sit in rows and personally began to distribute prasadam, assisted by the 4 other men. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not accustomed to taking prasadam in small quantities. In other words, in Chatswat language, he could put away, as they say here. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not accustomed to taking prasadam in small quantities. He therefore put on each plate at least what 5 men could eat. Actually, I remember. Actually, devotees don't eat much these days. I just somehow feel that. The quantities they eat are not a lot. I remember when I first joined, I used to see some devotees' plates and wonder, is this humanly possible? And you know what was even more? They would finish that. They are demigods. They are demigods. You'll remember the Ramananda Prabhu? Some of you may remember Ramananda, my God. He had an appreciation for Krishna in the form of his holy name and in the form of prasadam. I've never seen anyone appreciate those 2 forms of Krishna like he did. One year on Janmashtami, he came up to me, said, "Prabhu, 17 hours, 17 hours. I'm like, what 7? Said, I did 17 hours kirtan. 17 hours kirtan for Janmashtami he did. I don't know what he ate at midnight, but it must have also been something in the realm of 17. But that was Ramananda Prabhu, one of the great servants of Shri Shri Radha Radhanath and Lord Chaitanya and Prabhupada here. Swarup Damodar Goswami requested Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please sit down and watch. In other words, stop serving them 5 times the amount the normal person can eat. Please sit down and watch. With these men to help me, I shall distribute the prasadam. The 4 men, Swarup Damodar, Jagadananda, Kashishwara and Shankara, distributed the prasadam continuously. All the devotees who sat down would not eat the prasadam as long as the Lord had not eaten. On that day, however, Kashi Mishra had extended an invitation to the Lord. Therefore, Kashi Mishra personally went there and delivered prasadam to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great attention and made him eat. With Paramananda Puri and Brahmananda Bharati, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down and accepted the prasadam. When he began to eat, so did all the Vaishnavas. So Paramananda Puri and Brahmananda Bharati were considered senior to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being contemporaries of Ishvara Puri. So they were also invited to eat at the same time. Everyone was filled up to the neck because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept telling the distributors, "Give them more, give them more." After all the devotees finished accepting prasadam and had washed their hands and mouths, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decorated each of them with a flower garland and sandalwood pulp. Overwhelmed with ecstatic love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered a benediction to all the devotees, which all the devotees heard with great satisfaction. This is very wonderful. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this benediction. Anyone who has seen the festival of Sri Haridas Thakur's passing away, anyone who has chanted and danced here, anyone who has offered sand on the body of Haridas Thakur, and anyone who has joined this festival to partake of the prasadam will achieve the favor of Krishna very soon. Such is the wonderful power in seeing Haridas Thakur. This is a very instructive blessing that Lord Chaitanya is uttering. I know how we sometimes get about going to funerals. Oh, we have to take bath afterwards, we have to wear new clothes, extra laundry for us to do. And it's kind of like a depressing situation. People are crying. But especially when it comes to devotees passing away. I mean, I may be stretching it a little bit here, in a sense. Maybe one could accuse me that I'm stretching it. But look at the benediction that Lord Chaitanya is offering for anyone who's connected to this passing away, the funeral, the entombment, the feast afterwards related to Haridas Thakur's passing away. That very soon they will achieve the favor of Sri Krishna. So, especially when devotees pass away, there's a wonderful ecstatic benediction that lay for us by participating in the passing away of such a devotee, an advanced devotee especially. Being merciful upon me, this is Lord Chaitanya speaking, but being merciful upon me, Krishna gave me the association of Haridas Thakur. Being independent in his desires, the Lord has now broken that association. When Haridas Thakur wanted to leave this material world, it was not within my power to detain him. Simply by his will, Haridas Thakur could give up his life and go away, exactly like Bhishma, who previously died simply by his own desire, as we have heard from Shastra. Haridas Thakur was the crown jewel on the head of this world. Without him, this world is now bereft of its valuable jewel. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told everyone, "Say, all glories to Haridas Thakur," and chant the holy name of Hari. Saying this, he personally began to dance. Everyone began to chant, "All glories to Haridas Thakur," who revealed the importance of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Thereafter, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to all the devotees, and he himself, with mixed feelings of happiness and distress, took rest. Thus, I have spoken about the victorious passing away of Haridas Thakur. Anyone who hears this narration will certainly fix his mind firmly in devotional service to Sri Krishna. From the incident of Haridas Thakur's passing away and the great care Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took in commemorating it, one can understand just how affectionate he is toward his devotees. Although he is the topmost of all sannyasis, he fully satisfied the desire of Haridas Thakur. When Haridas Thakur was at the last stage of his life, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him his company and allowed him to touch him. Thereafter, he took the body of Haridas Thakur on his lap and personally danced with it. Out of his causeless mercy, the Lord personally covered the body of Haridas Thakur with sand and personally begged alms from the shopkeepers. Then he conducted a great festival to celebrate the passing away of Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was not only the topmost devotee of the Lord, but also a great and learned scholar. It was his great fortune that he passed away before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The life and characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are like an ocean of nectar, one drop of which can please the mind and ear. Anyone who desires to cross over the ocean of nescience, please hear with great faith the life and characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela, 11th chapter describing the passing of Haridas Thakur. Jai Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Srila Haridas Thakur Tiro Bhav Mahotsava ki, Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. Thank you.